If you guys are trying to master sets or pick up some big value cards for your personal collection, I want to tap you into a resource you might not be utilizing yet, the PSA 9. But not all PSA 9s are created equal. Let's get to it. We're in a Pokemon market where investors and scalpers have dominated the market, and because of that, PSA 9s are going for about the same as raw cards, and I'll guarantee you if you pick up a raw card on eBay, it's probably not going to PSA 10. I would say with 99.5% certainty, you're not going to get a PSA 10. There are certainly exceptions. I've done it myself. I've gotten super lucky and got a PSA 10 out of a card, but more times than not, you're looking at a PSA 9, possibly even a PSA 8. Generally not, but depending on how good the pictures are and whatnot that you're looking at. And if you've been watching any of my monthly videos over the last 6 months where I showcase my own personal collection, you'll know I've been utilizing this technique a lot, and that is basically buying the PSA 9s, monitoring GameStop and grabbing them on grabbing the PSA 9s, getting a little bit of discount for being a pro member, and cracking them out to put into my master binders. But like I said in the intro, not all the PSA 9s are created equal, and I'm very particular. I want a well-centered card as close as possible. So I'm hunting out the almost PSA 10s instead of the definite PSA 8s. So I thought today I'd go over a couple example cards to showcase exactly what I do when I look through the PSA 9s on GameStop, and I compare it to price charting and eBay and see what's going on there and see if it's the best way to go and what kind of a deal it is. I also want to look at the card and say, is it on a downward trend? Do I want to hold off? How many of them are there on eBay or on GameStop right now? Is there a definite chance of these cards coming down in the future? One thing I will tell you is that the cards that are over $400, I'm holding off on because I'm hoping that more cards are going to come out. But special illustration rares in about the $100 mark, I think might be right around time. Things around the $200 mark might want to drop it, wait and see if it comes down to $150. It's really just dependent on how long you're willing to wait to get that card into your master set. So let's check out the first card. So one of the cards I need from my master set of Destined Rivals is Nidoking here, the special illustration rare. Absolutely phenomenal card. Team Rocket Moltres is also another card that I need, but let's start with the Nidoking. First off, I'm going to just search it up by the number, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to sort by the prices, because even as they put in the PSA 8s, the PSA 9s into the system on GameStop, sometimes the new ones that get entered are coming in lower, or sometimes even the older ones have a lower price. So I'm just going to come in, I'm going to sort it on low to high and see what we got. Right now, they got 86.44. These prices are always moving, so you definitely want to monitor and see how it goes. These are going to all be the PSA 8s, of course, at the $86.44. We got one PSA 9 here for $94.99. And then, well, here we got one for $109.24. And this is a PSA 8. PSA 8. And here's a PSA 9 for $109.24. So first thing we're going to do is come into the $94.99 one and check it out. You can see here, compared to the other ones, it's a pretty good deal because it's a lower price. Now you can use some coupons and whatnot. Now down here, you can grab the cert number and we can pop over to PSA card, psacard.com. We're going to come up to research and we're going to go to cert verification. We're going to pop it in and search it up. Here we go. Luckily, this is a card that has pictures. Any modern cards are going to have pictures. If you're hunting for some old vintage cards, you might come across some that don't have pictures. And then we got a different story for those. We got the card pulled up here, but you can see in the upper right hand corner there's a little download button. We're going to hit the download. We're going to come to the back. We're going to hit the download on that as well. I want the highest resolution picture to look at. All right, here we are. We got the picture pulled up. This is looking pretty good from the front side here. What I'm going to typically do is I'm going to zoom in. I want the cards that are almost 10s. These people often send in cards and they really thought it was 10. And for whatever reason, it just didn't happen that day. And you'll have to decide what your tolerance is for for you know, shortfalls of being a 10, because it did get a 9. You're cracking out for your binder. Maybe you don't care why it's a 9, but I like to check it out, and sometimes I just want good centering for my binder. So you can come in here. You got to take into consideration the fact that these little card things over here on the side are gonna overlap the card in some cases. If you really want to get technical here, you can pull this up in like paint.net or something and actually grab a section of the card and compare it to the other side to see how close the centering is. I mean, like I said, we got the bar over here overlapping it, so it's kind of hard to tell whether or not this is super fat on the left. Just looking at the picture, it looks super fat, but again, some of the card is under this thing over on the right-hand side. Now, I do see some things popping out to me. Up on the ear here, there's a little mark, and inside the ear here is another little dot. That's definitely going to bring the card down from a 10 to a 9. But centering overall looks pretty good to me on the front. It's definitely not a card that I would crack out and send back for a 10 because of the marks on the ears here. But as far as the binder collection goes, I think the centering looks pretty good. Then we can pop over to the back image and do the same thing. We're going to want to zoom in here. I see a little white marks over here on the left. There's a little blue mark inside of the border up here on the top. There's a little something over the M in Pokemon. You're going to want to find things. The corners look crisp, look really good on the back top here. Let's scroll down. You want to look along the edges as you go down. There's definitely a line right here going across the back. That is pretty prominent. So if you're looking for for a potential PSA 10 out of a PSA 9, this is not going to be one of those cards. I'm not sure I like that scratch on the back personally. Unfortunately, all the corners look absolutely phenomenal. All 4 of them look great on the back, but that line is pretty obvious. So I would sit there and I would go through all of the certificates for these and try to find one that fits what I'm willing to go for. From here, I'd step on up to the 109.24 and grab that cert and start looking through those. Sometimes you can see right away just on the site. Like this one here, I can see right above the Nidoking, there's a mark on the card. Also, I can tell that the top is thin, so I might just skip over that one completely and just go check out the next one. So do I want to pay $110 for this card right now? I'm not sure. It could definitely be on the decline. Popping over to price charting, I can see that they're valuing it at $125.55 for the 9. We can look through the 9s and how it's sold recently. You can see someone here bought it for $153 just a few days ago, and the day before that someone got one for $99. You have to pay attention and make sure that these sales aren't for like CGCs or BGSs or some other grading company, Ace or whatever. Like, look, you can look at this one here. You can see a huge mark across the top. That would bother me immensely, and I wouldn't want to grab that one for my binder. Again, I'm looking for the potential PSA 10s to put in my binder because I just want the highest quality card possible. And that's probably, this little markup here is probably why this ended at only about 99 bucks. And then you got to factor in the fact that they're shipping. So really they paid $106 for this card. And I want to look at the price trend. This card has never been below about the $100 mark, 97.92 over here. This is for the raw pricing, and about 100 for the last month here. So really it's been a $100 card essentially all the time with a little bit of a bump. We can look at the PSA 9s and see how they've trended. We can see about 136, 140, and then it dropped down to 116. So we are seeing a downward trend here. I think that $100, $110 is a good price for it right now. And then, you know, just by comparison, we can look at what's happening with the PSA 10s. Very expensive card in a PSA 10, but it is also dropping as well down to that $300 mark. Now, if I see something odd down here, I'll go check it out. Like, let's see if there's any odd prices. I don't see any odd prices for this card. If I pop over to the Moltres, another card that I personally need, we're looking at about $153 on that card. You can come through and see here back on 11/26, somebody got one for only $115. That was a great deal back then. you can pop over into eBay, check out the original listing. You can see it was an auction. I think that the auctions are definitely better signs of how much the market is willing to pay for a card. Certain things like what time the auction ends and what day it is could have a huge impact, so you have to take that into consideration. You should also take that into consideration when you're selling cards. Don't have your cards end at like 3 in the afternoon on Thanksgiving Day, because you're gonna get much less buyers on there trying to bid it up. You can see only 19 bids were placed on this card. It is a little thin on the bottom compared to the top. That would steer me away from picking this card up personally for my own personal collection, but you know, everyone has different levels of tolerance on what they're willing to do. So like I said, not all 9s are created equal. You definitely got to hunt through there, and it can take a lot of time, but you just analyze each card, decide how close it is to a 10, what your level of tolerance is for if it's something that you want in your master set or not. I think the prices are really good. Like I said, they're always fluctuating, so you got to watch and see how the trends go, because GameStop will also adjust occasionally. You know, like a price, I swear they're using price charting as their values. Occasionally there's some strange sales that drop down the price charting. Sometimes you can get a really good deal on there if you're paying attention and hunting a specific card. For the Team Rocket Moltres, that card is definitely coming down because of the GameStop, you know, Team Rocket's Moltres box. So keep an eye on that. I think it's going to drop further as people are happy with getting the Destined Rivals stamp version. That card is coming down. It's another one that I need, but it's definitely on a downward trend, so I'm holding off on that as well. I was going to use it as another example, but I don't think we need 2 examples. You can see what I do. Just go through, check out the corners, look for marks on the cards, look for the centering. Sometimes you can find that diamond in a rough, a real PSA 10 that they just had a bad day and gave it a 9. You could submit it again, but I don't think it's worth the money. I think this is the best thing for getting a really clean card for your master set binders, and just crack them out and put them in there. Anyways, guys, those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think. Have you done this before? And I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I'll catch you in the next video.